Greetings, Melva family. I hope I find you well today, wherever you are tuning to this broadcast from around the world. I just want to appreciate the fact that God has been good and God is gracious and that God has always been leading us. And on this platform today, we are exploring the innovative way we could package our journey with God via this virtual studio. And today I'm joined by my brother and the man of God, the servant of God. The man has preached the gospel around the world. The man has sang the gospel around the world. We have collaborated before, and I've watched him, travel the world and come back to set up something that we're going to talk about a bit later today. But today, we just want to explore his journey with God and share his testimony in a very brief way today. So if you have an hour to spare with us, welcome. Like this video, subscribe to this platform so that when we post future videos, you will also be able to get them. Today, I'm inviting brother, pastor, musician, lifestyle evangelist or missionary. I'm giving you so many titles today. Pastor Simbarashe,
thank you so
greetings and
much.
welcome.
It's good to be here.
Awesome. Yes, man. It's good to be connecting again today. And people may be wondering, where did you find this man? I must tell them he has come back home. Where are you connecting from today?
Right in Mashingo, Zimbabwe. That's your home. And it's been good to be here.
That's the city that gives Zimbabwe its name, right?
And I don't live too far from there.
Yeah.
So that's one of my claims to fame. I live by the great.
You live in the headquarters of the country.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So on this episode of our production, I would like us to take a journey back into time, way back, and track your journey. And I really am excited to have you on the set today because you become the first journey with God that we record on this virtual platform. So you get a chip on your shoulder today for that. And as we will share your journey, I'm quite curious because the Bible tells us in the book of Revelation, chapter 12, verse 11. In fact, verse 10 and verse 11 is very instructive, like right there. I know you are a theologian, you can walk us through this one. It says, a voice was heard from heaven saying, blessed are those. It says, now is salvation come. I'm mixing the two. Verse 11 says, and now is salvation and strength and the kingdom and the power of his Christ come. Because the devil was thrown down, we were given those things. And then verse 11 says, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. And so on this program, we're quite interested to learn how God has given you victory throughout your life. I know there have been down times, terrible seasons, but God has given you victory in many places and many things. And so let's start maybe by going back in time. When you first realized your name is Simbarashe, where were you? What were you doing? Who was around you? And where was that? And I'm interested to know when you discovered that God is around you.
I'll tell you even before that. Before I could realize, somehow I'd already realized. My parents tell me the story of when I was a little boy. Somehow my life has been marked by the devil. And he always wanted to destroy me. Had it not been for the Lord. My parents were both teachers. And they lived at Mafuba School. Then it was where the headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Central Conference was. And as a little boy, I was sleeping on my bed, and there was a lot of wind and rain, and somehow my dad decided to just come and pick me up from the bedroom. They were sitting in the sitting room, and they picked me up. And as soon as he had and just left, the wind just blew, and it hit the roof, and the roof came and hit one of the what you call the roof, whatever, um, uh, the trusses.
Yeah, the
one of them
trusses.
broke and came and just hit exactly where I was, where I had been sleeping. And as if that was not enough, my sister and I were sleeping at one time, and all night we slept together with a pafada, and they only found it in the morning. You know, a pafada is one of the most poisonous snakes. And you know, I have reason to thank God. When I was 10 years old, now I'm beginning to know who I was and so forth. Playing outside the house, we were now at Hanke Mission, and my parents were both teaching there as well. And as I'm playing around just by the corner of a house, with my chair just on the other side of the corner, I am playing. You know, matakanana, we call them in Shona.
Yes,
Yeah, we are playing, trying to cook mud, water,
and water,
on the other chair. And as I was doing that, all of a sudden, as I looked on my foot, I saw a brown snake just close to my foot, and it had its tongue wiggling,
flickering around.
And just when I saw that, a miracle happened. Somehow I was lifted up. Okay? Lifted up, like I'm facing this direction, and I'm lifted up to in the air to go face the other direction, and to fall away like 3-4 meters back. And when I always recall that story, I know that they are angels, and the Lord has always been protecting me. And from that time, had it not been my mother, when I told the mother, because I ran after I fell, that's when I started crying. You know, and then mom was like, "What's happening?" And then I told them, I showed them where I was sitting and where I had landed. And my mother made a statement to say, "Surely an angel has picked you up." Because there's no way a little boy can turn from facing this direction while sitting on a chair and then turn around and then fall way meters away. That cannot. It had to be an angel. Yeah. And there are more stories of how the Lord has delivered me over my life. Yeah.
Wow. Now, I'm quite keen to then know, you had your mom, you had your father around you. They are teachers, and obviously they are the ones who become your first home teachers before you go to school. And how did that upbringing around your family influence your values and the beliefs that you now carry as you go around doing God's work? How much has that family contributed to your values?
My mom tells me when I was a little boy, I would not cry mostly for mother, but for my dad. When he was in the front of the church I would run to him. And I would just want to be with my dad. And so she tells one time, whether I was preaching or something, I was crying and crying and crying. All I wanted was to be with my dad. And then when I got to him in front, I was fine. No crying. And I remember when I was a little boy, my dad would have me memorize Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want.
Okay.
He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. I was doing it in Shona though, and so forth. And
Yes.
my mom was your strict mother. You know, she didn't want us to say certain things that are unbecoming. And we were brought up in a godly family, and I'm very thankful for that. Mom would make sure we adhere to the Christian principles as little children. My sister and I were only a year apart, and so we grew up like twins. So together with my sister, we were taught to sing at home. My mom was the singer of note, and then we didn't quite realize it.
Right.
But it was a gift and a blessing. And so going to church, we were going to different programs at different times. So that helped quite a bit. Yeah.
And so you've grown to become a singer, a preacher. Was there someone who was a pastor in your family before that you modeled yourself after, or who inspired you to choose that career into pastoral work? And perhaps you could also share a little bit about your education and how maybe it contributed to the pathway, the career pathway you took.
I never wanted to be a pastor. It was at the back of my mind. Something was telling me I must do ministry. But somehow I kept telling myself, I'm not going to be a pastor. All I wanted was to do business. And I went to Solusi to study business. Yes. In fact, before I went to Solusi, I was right here in Masungo. I was staying with my uncle. And I used to joke around to say, well, if this doesn't work, I'll go to Solusi and become a pastor. You know.
You had options, yeah?
And now, I went to Solusi to do business. And when I got there, they wanted you to have mathematics in order to do business. And I didn't have mathematics. And so I was determined to still do the maths. And while I was there, I wrote the math from the school and I passed. And I had also written a mathematics O-level exam and I passed it. And now, because I got there without the mathematics, I was not enrolled in the business department, but in the English. And so the English department, didn't have to. I didn't have to have mathematics. But when I got the maths, I then changed my major to business. I changed the major to business with 2 minors. Quite ambitious guy. I had a minor in computer science and a minor in it was a minor in. I had one minor. When later on,
Okay.
my at the back of my mind, something was troubling me. You only have one life to live, and the Lord wants you to work for Him. And this bell kept ringing in my mind, and I never got so.
Where was it coming from? Was it a dream? Was it a voice? Where
That's
was
a
it
good
coming
question.
from?
I don't know how God works in my thoughts and whatever. Somehow my thoughts would just keep thinking that. And the impression was, okay, you have one life and you're already at solution. And they train pastors at solution. and and now I'm wondering, what should I do? And so it was like heavy on my thoughts. I went to my friends.
All right.
I asked this one, I asked the other one, I asked the other one, and they all told me different stories. Go for it, another one said. Another one would say, man, I remember one friend of mine says, man, if you join a pastor, you become a pastor, you lose the ability to just be ordinary.
Wow.
Man,
Okay.
And then I went to one fellow pastoral student. He was like, why? Why do you want to be a pastor? All kinds of answers were coming. But nonetheless, the voice kept coming to me. Guess what I did? I went to the registrar, who was Mrs. Spiros at that time. And I changed majors. Okay? I religion as a major. When you changed a major from at Melusi to religion, you were going to be a teacher. I thought, well, if I did religion, then I'll be fine. And then I had a minor in business and a minor in computer science because I had already started on the business classes. That's why the business remained there. But then the voice kept bothering me. I went to Botswana to do canvas work, and while I was there, the call even came harder. And I was preaching there and talking and all that. My friend was like, man, you need to come to theology. So these are some now audible voices now, some of my friends.
All right.
And when I got back to Solusi, I then went back to the registrar and changed to theology. Now, because I already had some business classes, I was already way ahead. And so I changed it to theology and a business as a second major. It leaves maybe about 2 minutes to make it a full major, but it's a second major in business. And so I removed computer science altogether. And when I did that, that's when peace of mind came. And that voice that was bothering me was gone. And it has been peaceful since then. That voice never bothered me again.
Wow. Wow. That's beautiful. Now, and so you proceeded and finished that training.
I did. And then I went.
And how did the Lord lead you from there? And where do you see God's hand in the relationships, the family dynamics, and the experiences that you began to pick up after. Because remember, one of your friends told you you will never be ordinary.
And I've never been ordinary either. Well,
Yeah.
because of anything, but because I accepted the call. So I would like to believe
All right.
he was right. I
Mm-hmm.
went and joined the Central Zimbabwe Conference as a pastor. And at that time, I think I was one of the youngest, if not the youngest, pastors in the conference. And it was a joy to be in the conference with my colleagues. I remember when we would go for pastoral meetings. Those were some highlights. When I meet some of my colleagues today, some of the things we would talk about then and all that, they keep reminding me. And I was stationed at Gunde. I was never moved from my station. My first district, I was never changed to another district. I was there for 3.5 years. Just like the Savior. You know, Jesus only worked 3.5 years here on earth. And I was too.
Wow. Okay.
And so I enjoyed the work of being a pastor. One of my highlights was when I would call my friends to come and conduct a week of prayers. Kunde Adventist High School. That's where I was stationed. And every school term, we would have a week of prayer and I'd call one of my friends to come and conduct. It was a good time. I had 4 main churches, and I'll go to each one of them, each different Sabbath. I also had companies and branch.
And branches, eh?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would visit all of those. So altogether, I had like 12 places to meet people at, and including Lalapansi, which was way off. So I'd drive into Gweru and then connect to Lalapansi. But then you see, it was really, really nice to be to my job as a pastor was very interesting. We would engage students. I remember at one time in my final year, I wrote a whole host of sermons and gave different students to practice.
Wow.
To practice and memorize and so forth. So they would conduct an evangelistic campaign themselves at the school. So we hired a tent from the conference. And during the week, it's the students that were preaching. And I would coach them before and coach them and coach them. And but during the Sabbaths, that's when I invited. The first Sabbath, I preached myself. And then the second and third, I had guest speakers coming. And I would invite some singing groups. I remember inviting a group called Truth from Kwekwe. And I invited, on the final Sabbath, I invited the Lighthouse from Harare. And
wow,
it was such a high time when I was, and I would train the young boys and girls on different many aspects of religion. Just at that time, I didn't know that acting was not a very good idea.
Okay.
So I wrote a play, and I had my students. I trained them, and they did a play, and we took it to one of the schools where there was a meeting of different schools, and they gave us a
Mhm.
to do the play. Oh boy, it was called Senzeni, and I wrote a song for the play
Okay.
Senzeni. You know, it's not like the Senzeni now, but well, it was related to. We did Senzeni now on the song. I also wrote another one. It
Uh-huh.
was a girl that was abused by her own father, and she ends up
Mm.
dying of AIDS contracted from her father. And then
Oh no.
at the funeral, that's where now the church comes in. And then I would preach. Now, during the sermon, it's in the play, but now it's a real sermon. So in my mind, I
Wow.
was trying to reach the world through that. You see the picture.
Yeah.
And so
Mhm.
when we did that play, I remember one of the teachers from the other school said to me, Pastor, you need to take this play to ZBC.
The Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation.
Yes. And we did it.
And did you take it?
I was in the process of first we were going to take it to all the Adventist schools. We were going to take it to Lower Guelo,
Mhm.
to Solusi, to Nyazura, and all these other places before going to ZBC. That was my idea. But then
All right.
I left before that.
Where was the Lord leading you now, and what was happening? Because I'm quite interested in how the Lord then led you from that beautiful 3.5 years, typical of Jesus's ministry.
Yes, yes.
Where did the Lord lead you until now, where you are?
I then went to the United States to study for Master of Divinity. When the opportunity came, I just had to leave. It was a quick decision, and I had to leave, and I went. I didn't have enough money for Andrews University, so I had to work first to raise the school fees that they needed. And when I did,
All right.
I then joined Andrews University and graduated with a Master of Divinity. Yes, while there, my brothers and I have two brothers, and so they had joined me there. We formed a quartet with a friend of mine. It was called Shield, and we would travel.
Okay.
Yeah, we would travel different places in the United States singing, and so on and so forth. It was another.
I thought that group started in Mashingo.
We knew each other already while in Mashingo, but we were not a quartet. When there was a function, a friend of mine's function.
Yeah.
We went out and we were just singing a song from home, and that's when we decided, man, we should continue with this, and we did.
Wow.
And it was a beautiful. If you had a clip, you would play for your audience.
I think I still have it.
Yes.
And I've been playing it. I even converted it to. There's one particular song. I'm trying to remember it now.
There's one that has played called Dombore Makore. Is that the one?
Dombore Makore. That's the one. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful song.
That's one of them. Yes. Out of the many that we did. Yeah. And it was nice. And when I had graduated, Zimbabwe at that time was hot, politically and financially. Things were not really great. And many of my colleagues from the United States, from Zimbabwe, many Zimbabweans in particular, were moving to Canada. And
yes.
that's when I also joined the bandwagon going north. And
All right.
we didn't know what to expect, but we got there. That's when a lot of my life changed for the better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm not sure how much time you have, but I had to tell this story of when I was leaving for Canada. Now, my brothers left before I did. We used to live in the same house, in the United States. So my brothers left, and I was going to follow a month later. And when I followed, I had no idea what was awaiting. The reason I had no idea was there was one lady in Canada who worked for a lawyer, and she wrote a letter to Zimbabweans in the United States. There was no WhatsApp at that time, but there was email. And the email was forwarded to so many of us. And this lady was calling on Zimbabweans, why are you staying in the United States? Come get papers in Canada, this and that. There was no description of how that would happen. How do we get to Canada? It was like, oh, Canada is just accepting Zimbabweans. Just come. So that's what I thought I was going to do. When I got to the border, I called now. Some of my colleagues tell me, you have to have a story. I'm like, what story?
Okay.
There's like, oh, you have to have a story of how you were persecuted in Zimbabwe, this and that. Man, my heart broke. But perhaps if I had been told that, I probably would never have gone to Canada. And so when I got,
all right,
fortunately, I used the border, the Windsor border, the border by Detroit. And as I crossed, I had been in the United States for 6 years. And when I crossed the border into Canada, I began to see certain things I had seen at home. You see slight differences. It's just a portion of town that I passed through. Whereas no great, not that great. And I'm like, what have I done?
I've gone back home, but in Canada.
And so, but the border at Windsor did not require that you tell the story right away. Otherwise, I would have told a story that did not synchronize with my brothers. And yet we're one family. So when I got there to Toronto, I met my brothers. Then I asked their stories, this and that. I wrote a story. But man, my heart was not happy with that story. So I went back to the Lord and said, Lord, I don't think I could live with this. I'm changing my story. I was never persecuted. I'm just an ordinary guy who wants to live in Canada. If you can just open for me. And so forth. And because of that, the lawyer went and defended me when the hearing came. And I lost the case because of that. And so when my colleagues' papers were getting good, getting papers, my story delayed. It would be 7 years before I got my papers. I eventually took the route of the humanitarian compassion grounds. And when I got my papers, the first thing was to buy a ticket to go back home. And man, you have no idea. That was after 14 years of being away from
Wow.
home. And when
US and then Canada.
yeah, US and
Wow.
Canada. After 14 years. Now, when I landed at OR Tambo, it felt so different. I couldn't believe I was in Africa. I felt like kissing the ground like other people have done. You know. You know. But the story is, I failed to tell the lie. But when I got to Canada, I also couldn't get a pastoral job in the conference for one reason or the other. Despite the fact that I was more than qualified, if you were to say, which now I think was a blessing. So because I wanted to always do ministry, that was my dream, and joined the Literature Evangelist program in the Ontario Conference. And when I got there, the director, who was Pastor Dale Thomas, said to me, there is a department that you may want to join. I said, what's that? He said, the medical missionary literature evangelist. I said, that's what I want.
Okay.
Yeah, because I had always had an interest in health through the help of Pastor Munetsi back then, the late Pastor Munetsi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I joined the medical missionary program. We did a training, and my colleagues and I would go different churches every Sabbath, and then would be people during the week. So we did that for a few years, and then I moved from Ontario to the west. I went to Alberta. Alberta,
wow,
it's the colder part of Canada. Months in the winter, and I stayed there. Although I never got used to the winter. I stayed there nonetheless.
All right.
And I then trained again with a school that would let me, I got a diploma that would let me open a doctor's office in Canada legally.
Wow.
And I also went back and did some other training in the United States at Centurion. And when I did that, I would go, I didn't have a center, but I'd go to people's homes, here helping with them with this, with their illnesses, this and that, doing cleansing and so forth.
Yeah.
Sending to packages to some people, this and that. And in 2017, I then started going on on just mission trips to Africa.
Okay.
In the TMI programs, total member involvement. I went to Kenya. I went to Tanzania. I went to South Africa. I went to Botswana. Where? I went.
You were in Lesotho?
To Zambia. I didn't go to Lesotho. I did Zambia.
Okay.
So those five.
All right.
Kenya, Tanzania, South Africa, Botswana, Zambia. I would always go to Zimbabwe, but they never quite did the TMIs in the way the other countries were doing it. And so, and so that's why I never got to join the Zimbabwean program. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And when I was doing that, every year I would literally come to Africa at 3 times, which is a blessing. When you live in the West and you have lived here
Yeah.
before you grew up in Africa, you think about home,
Yeah.
and it's a blessing to be able to go home. And so
True.
while I was making those trips, that's when I realized, man, life is in Africa,
Wow.
you know. And I wasn't ready to move yet. I was actually now working on looking for places to put a center in outside the city of Edmonton, where I used to live. And at that time, I was on a mission trip, on my particular mission trip this time, not the TMI. This was a health, an ambitious one. I was going to do training of medical missionaries in Zambia, then go to Botswana, and then go to Kenya, then return to Canada. But when I landed in Zambia, that's exactly when COVID hit.
Oh.
And when COVID hit, then I decided I wasn't going back to Canada. So I stayed in Zambia almost a year. And then in 2021, January, I came. My dad got sick in December of 2020. And he was taken to hospital. And while at the hospital, they gave him like 17 antibiotics. And so
Wow.
It really affected him negatively. And when I came in a few days later, we took him home and we almost lost him. But God, through prayer and natural remedies, there was a point in which he was not speaking. And God brought him back to life. And although he hasn't quite gotten back to his normal strength, he is relatively okay today, with little struggles here and there, and a few years older. But we thank God that he's alive. At that time, that's when we began, my friends and I, praying for a piece of land, to find a piece of land. It's another long story, but I won't bother with the long story. But we
So this piece of land, this is in Zimbabwe. As you are treating your dad.
Yes.
You're beginning to look for land.
Yes. And we got this piece of land, 3 hectares. And that's where eventually we have moved to. We've put a structure, and we are working on other structures at this point. This is called Utano Health and Wellness Center. So, because I couldn't afford to build the whole thing quickly, I decided if somebody wants treatment, they'll certainly bring a tent. So they do bring their tents, and we take them on a residential program where they do either 10-day programs for deep tissue cleansing, or 21-day program for treatment, or more, depending on the situation. We have had a few guests that have graced our place, and as recent as last week, one lady came. She had an issue with urticaria, a cold allergy. When she left,
Mhm.
much, much better. She spent 12 days with us. And
Wow.
before that, another man, you know him, was there for diabetes. And
Yeah, we saw.
yeah, we did speak.
He was so
Yeah,
excited being there.
yeah,
Yeah, I remember.
yeah.
Yes.
You know, the good thing with him though, he knew that he was doing the wrong things. But he says that because
Okay.
when he lost uh, uh, all livelihood in terms of income, he found himself eating
Mhm.
things that he shouldn't be eating, and the diabetes
Mm.
came hitting him back, and he
Wow.
needed some recovery. When before he came, he says there was a point the people that he worked with were thinking that he would just fall down and die. He couldn't walk.
Mm.
He was almost dying, he says. And when he left,
I
he
remember him.
was
Yeah.
excited and um, all jubilant and
Wow.
healed by God's grace.
Mm.
His readings were okay. His blood sugar was normal, and his
Mhm.
blood pressure at first when he came it was low. So we he had this unique problem of low blood pressure, but we had to work
Mm.
on raising it up. When he left, it was uh, within normal range.
Yeah.
We thank God for the opportunity to be able to help one person at a time.
Mm.
Yeah.
So you've built a center,
Yes,
and at this center, you are still preaching, you are still teaching,
yes,
but you're doing it through health and wellness.
that's correct.
And you've set up in Zimbabwe,
Yes,
at the very city where Zimbabwe gets its house of
that is
stones.
correct.
How prophetic.
And you know that is where I say I'm thankful for God for not allowing me to become a pastor in Canada. I would not have
Wow.
known what I know now, and I would not be helping all these people that I'm helping now. God already knew
Mm.
that if I took that route,
Mm.
then I would I'll be doing pastoral work perhaps, but without this.
Mm. Mm. But let's talk about that journey of faith and let's just reflect on it. And maybe you might want to give advice here because there are some people who are still dreaming even today of going out of Africa to the diaspora, as we call it.
Yes.
But you've come back from the diaspora.
Yes.
What is it that brings you? Maybe in a few lines, is it the desire to pastor your people? Is it just the love for Africa? What is it?
That's a good question. A lot of my friends ask me the same question. Even before, when I was leaving, they're like, "Are you sure you're going to Zimbabwe?" In my mind, I'm like, "Do these people think that there are no people living in Zimbabwe?" You know, it's like,
It's like we close the country, there's no one there.
there's nobody. It's like everybody's dead in Zimbabwe. And so, but you know, what?
Yeah.
I tell you the truth. What motivated me is the knowledge. Number one, that Jesus in Matthew 24 says, when you see these things begin to happen, then you must
Okay.
leave the cities, leave Jerusalem,
Okay.
and go out of the city. I was already working on planning to go rent outside the city where I was living so I can put up a center. But I wouldn't own it. You see the picture. But here in Zimbabwe,
Mhm.
I could afford um, something outside the city because everybody almost here has a rural home and a
Mhm.
town home. So if
A townhouse,
worst
yeah.
comes to worst, I could go to my rural home. You see what I mean? So that's the major motivation to say, okay, when Jerusalem was surrounded, I saw COVID-19 as Jerusalem being surrounded. It was a warning to those that have seen what I have saw, that it is time to leave the cities. And so that's the major motivation for me. And then I also cannot live in the city because the practice of what I do, medical missionary work, requires that we go and do it outside the city. And so I was moved by those ideas.
All right.
Everybody could be moved from Canada. I mean, anybody could go in outside the city in Canada, but I couldn't afford it in Canada.
All right. Let's talk about, if you look back and how God has led you up to today,
Right.
what is the biggest turning point that pivoted your life, or that set you on the journey that God has set you up today? And what are some of the lessons you could share from that moment?
Okay.
Or moments? I'm sure there might be more.
Yes. There are two turning points, two major turning points, I think, in my life. When the first one was the introduction of going to Solusi. That was a good turning point because that was a hub of meeting all these kind of people from different places, and where I learned a lot of things. That's when I started canvassing and studied theology and so forth. Opened my mind up. But canvassing did more to my mind than anything could have done. My friend, Dr. Mwemba, you know Dr. Mwemba.
Yes. The happening man.
The happening man. When I first went to canvass in Botswana, he's the one that took me on a orientation route, teaching me how to canvass. I'd never done it.
Is that so?
Yes. And
did you listen to his story of how he actually went into Botswana?
Not yet, not that one. I haven't watched that.
I will share with you. Maybe I'll put a link on this podcast.
Okay, all right.
It was a mess of a mission, but I'm actually quite pleasantly surprised that he was able to mentor someone out of that mess.
Yeah, you know.
Okay.
He said to me, canvassing is not only about what you get financially, but what it makes you become. When he was saying that, I was saying, oh, these pastors, they have words. I didn't understand.
Okay.
I'm here for money for school.
Yeah.
But when I left Botswana back to Solusi, I was totally changed. My mindset, there was so much possibilities all of a sudden. And it worked for the better. The other turning was when I got to Canada and became a medical missionary. That's when
So that conversation by that gentleman, you mentioned him, that he said, besides medical missionary, you could do this, isn't it? Besides literature evangelist, he directed you to that specific area.
Yes. He directed me to the medical missionary literature evangelism, and not just literature evangelism, which I was already. So the medical missionary literature evangelism took me to the other level of understanding. And now I began to understand a little bit more about Adventism. And things, I still be cry. I was telling my colleagues just the other Sunday to say, how come I went to Solusi and I went to Andrews, and I was at Solusi for 4 years, and I went to Andrews for 3 years, and not one day was there a mention of the word, the phrase medical missionary. Why is that?
Wow.
Until I was out of seminary, then I learned about medical missionary work. And yet,
so pastors are not being taught about this method in seminary and theology.
They're not.
Wow.
I think it's unfortunate because it is. I have lived it now. I have proven it in the work that I do now. When you do evangelism and include medical missionary work, true medical missionary work, you always win big. There's no question. Yeah. Medical missionary work, when you do it the right way, you can be sure God will have his hand fully there. And so we have half-baked cakes of people when they don't and when they don't learn medical missionary work.
All right. Now, so as a fully fledged pastor,
yes,
and having heard from that friend of yours that you will never be an ordinary person when you become a pastor. Yeah, that kind of sticks to me big time. You will never be an ordinary person. If you were to give advice to somebody, okay, who is struggling with their faith, they're also trying to find a pathway with God, and they're facing challenges in their spiritual journey.
right.
What advice would you give, and particularly those within your circles, either as friends or as pastors, as evangelists or teachers of the word, even people like myself?
I'll tell you, this is something I've been telling some people already, to say there is no branch in the Adventist church that you can find that will do better than the medical missionary work. Because it is the medical missionary work where you will learn how to take care of yourself, both physically and spiritually. There is no way you can be a true medical missionary when your spiritual life is down.
Okay.
Yeah, it just doesn't work well. It may work, but not well. You see what I mean? And then when you train as a medical missionary, you will learn about dress reform. See, the things that people find difficulty teaching in the church. Dress reform. Just train as a medical missionary. You will get to understand why dress reform is good for your health. Many diseases are found because people just simply don't know how to dress. And
that's so true.
Dress reform, all these reforms that are supposed to be encompassed by a true Christian, you will find in the missionary work.
All right. Wonderful. Now, how do you integrate faith, the spiritual part of your life, with your day-to-day life or decision making? What does it look like for you?
I'm sorry, my phone rang again and it had gone down. Please ask the question again.
Okay, yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your faith and your daily life.
Okay.
It's not easy for many people to balance. People talk about work-life balance, but there's also this thing of faith and life balance. How do you get the balance in your life especially in your day-to-day decision making? Where does faith come in your day-to-day life? How do you do it?
Okay. Now, it's not easy, but I'll tell you one thing that
Mhm.
I'm struggling with that too. Yet, the solution is mainly found in the fact that religion and your job and whatever you do are not supposed to be separate. It is supposed to, we
Okay.
can't say, okay, now, it's Sabbath today, so I'm not lying. You understand what I mean?
I get you. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
our religion is supposed to carry on throughout the workplace, school, and our colleagues. They need to know that I am a child of God. So the thing is,
Mhm.
when you compartmentalize it, that's when it makes it easy for us to do the wrong thing, because now this is not the time for it. You see?
For
Yeah.
holiness.
We were supposed to be holy at work. Yeah, you see.
That's a good one.
So what I try to do, hey, now this try and read every morning the Bible, and
Mhm.
we do worship in the morning. When I train my students, we also read from the Spirit of Prophecy, and in the evening, that's when we
Mhm.
focus on the Bible, um,
Mhm.
the things of life, this and that. But you, as a person, you're supposed to have your personal time as well, and it's a challenge, but we will get
Mhm.
there by God's grace.
Awesome. You are a pastor, so you must be eating and drinking and sleeping and talking verses. You have lots of verses. You've preached many sermons. You're even writing sermons for others, you said. But if you were to get down to one verse that really you would say, this is, let me use that name you used to use when you were young. This is Simbarashe's verse. Which one is
You
it?
know, when somebody says Simbrish to me, I know that person knows me real.
Yes, man. I've known you 1999.
1999, way back then.
Yes.
Okay,
We got into the same bus going to Mashingo. I was working in Mashingo province
okay,
doing my clinical trials and research there. And whenever I would come into Mashingo,
right.
I'd find you preaching in one of these churches.
Okay,
So I got to know you, and I heard you were singing, you have music,
right.
and everyone was calling you Simbrish. I was like, wow, this is a trending guy. Yeah, so which one is that verse that goes with you?
I would. They are quite. Bible is rich, but I'm thinking of Hebrews
Mm.
chapter 11, verse 39, which talks about
Mm.
where it says, "The Lord did not give them, did not make them perfect without us."
Mm.
In other words,
Mm.
all those heroes of faith could have been
Yeah.
perfected much earlier. But God, in His mercy, is waiting and was waiting for me to be born also, so that those would not be made perfect without me. How good is God?
Wow. Wow.
Isn't that a grace that you and I can also be counted in the commonwealth of Israel?
Mm.
Because God,
Mm.
in His mercy, has delayed His coming, just so that
Mm.
you and I today can be born also and be found
Mm.
in the story of salvation.
Yes. So let's bring this to a close. And I think we can't close without looking ahead.
Right.
Like you said, God looked ahead. I like that song that I used to hear Elder Richard Kumalo. I must look for him and find him.
Okay.
He looked ahead in time.
Right.
and I was on his mind. And I'm sure that's a song you could sing. And by the way, one of your favorite songs that I love to sing and I play it on my prayer programs is Speak to the Mountains.
Oh, praise the Lord.
That's a brilliant
Praise the
song.
Lord.
But let's talk about your current ministry engagement, and particularly I'm interested in what are your future aspirations. What are the projects, if God gives you more life, that you would like to do for him?
Okay.
And perhaps how would you want to impact other people's lives beyond the Utano, which is a Shona name for health? All right. Utano, health, and wellness. A beautiful name, actually, a good combination of those names.
Right.
What is it that you are aspiring to do looking ahead, and things that really bring your faith and your values to the fore?
Okay. Now, one thing that is already happening as I go to what's to happen. We hold camp meeting for medical missionaries each year at our center, right here in Machine. So this week on Thursday, on 11 September, we have a gathering starting. Some colleagues have already arrived today in Harare. The preachers from Kenya, the ones from the US are coming tomorrow. And on Thursday the convocation starts. So those that may want to join, it's a great time for us to meet together and talk about present truth and our health. But as for the future, I think it would be great to fall in line with what God desires. And one of the best examples of what God desires in our lives today was shown when Sister White was alive. When they opened the school at Madison in Tennessee. That school was the blueprint of what should happen to our schools. And so that's my desire for my little place, to have all these industries. We're already doing it in a very small way. Industries where people come, young people, older people, come and get training and be a mechanic and be a farmer and be a sewer, whatever, tailor, and so forth. Whatever occupation. And then be also medical missionaries at the same time. So that when they leave, they will go and know exactly how to work and teach people about Christ. The reason people have businesses is not mainly so that they can make money for themselves, but the businesses are supposed to be for ministry. The difference between a business in ministry and a business for ministry. A business in ministry says, well, let's also give to the church, or let's give to this, that, or the other. But a business for ministry is made for that purpose already. So there's nothing else it's made for. But that does not mean that you're not going to survive yourself. You are going to live, you know. And so that's my idea, that God can give us a center where more people can be trained in the right lines of defense for the work of God, and do medical missionary work as everybody should in this day and age.
Thank you so much. Is there anything you are like, Elder Ndhlalambi, you have not touched this one. This is my special one. Anything we have not discussed that you'd like to share?
Well, we have talked about a whole host of things. I'm sure if we had all the time, we'd talk or through the night.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking that our people are scared of medical missionaries. It's as if we are now lodgers in our very own church. You understand that lodger? We don't belong.
Yeah, you're renting an apartment somewhere there, yeah.
They are scared of us. They'll give us, you know, they will talk to us, but they don't quite embrace. Somehow it's as if we have adopted, what is called, those that are lost but in the church. What do you call those?
The lost coin?
Back then we used to call them, what? Well, those that are lost, those that are teaching the wrong theology. What do you call them?
The apostates.
Apostates, yeah. It's like they are lost. They teach this and that. You heard what they teach? Nobody bothers to find out exactly if what they are saying, like the Bereans, if what they are saying is true. You understand? So, I would want our church to realize that the medical missionary work is no man's invention. Nobody invented the medical missionary work. Some were talking about even changing the name. But then if we change the name of medical missionary work to give some other name, we must also change all those spiritual of prophecy books. We must change.
Yes.
This is God's own invention. He wishes the whole church to embrace this work. It is the work that will finish the work. When the ministers they have lost their jobs, the medical missionary work will continue because people will be anywhere and everywhere.
Wow. If people were to connect with you and they're interested to reach out to Utano Health and Wellness Center, how can they do that? How do they connect with you, and how do they learn more about the work and the faith journey that you are on?
They can find us on Facebook. Utano. We have to re-engage that Facebook page, but they can reach out to me personally on my phone.
All right.
It's 263-71-421-5975. That's plus 263-71-421-5975. That's the number on WhatsApp as well. And so just reach out and we'll be glad to engage. If you're somebody is sick, you can be free to come. It's like one of those rivers of Damascus where you find healing. and
yes,
I tell people from close by here, they say, Mashingo is too far, and they're in Harare. I'm like, we have had people come from as far as Malawi, and you're just only 3 hours away. So anybody from anywhere.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much for dedicating this time and making time. I think the Lord has indeed blessed us, and I really appreciate this experience you have given us to hear from you. And you are pioneering a journey that not many of our pastors and our frontline workers are doing. And I think I must commend you for the work you're doing, as well as your team that you're building. And we bless the Lord for this innovative work that you're doing. It is indeed the right hand of the gospel, and it must be celebrated. It must be promoted. And we must definitely heed the warnings and the signs of the times to get involved in this area. So I would like to say thank you so much for taking time to be with us today.
Thank you. You're most welcome, and thank you for having me. Who am I to have been in such a popular program on YouTube nowadays? And it's an honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and blessings to you, and all the best with Utano Health and Wellness Center. Well, my friends, that's all we had for you today. What a story, what a journey, what a testimony, what an inspiration and a vision that our brother is pushing right there. Get in touch with him. We've put the contacts in the descriptions. And should you have any questions about things we discussed today and perhaps things we didn't cover today, I invite you to drop a comment below. Get in touch with Pastor Simbarashe. I call him Simbrish. We didn't even talk about his music today. And may the Lord bless you and keep you. Remember to like, to subscribe, and to follow this ministry. We are a divine voice out of Africa. God has set us up, and perhaps you also have a story you would like to share with us. Get in touch with us on the email that we have put in the description. We'll be very happy to hear your journey with the Lord. God bless you, and see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.